Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In this one we're going to go over the NFL for week 8, and as you can see the odds are on the screen. These are the current odds. We will go over the opening odds as well, but without further ado, let's get started with the first game. We're going to go based off because it's a little different how they line up these games. So we'll start off with on here on FD the Bills versus Panthers. Now let's go over to the opening odds real quick. And as you can see, Buffalo's odds have fluctuated, pretty much fluctuated throughout the week. It was up to 420, negative 420. It went a little higher than negative 430 on some sports books. Now it's minus 400 even, but opened at minus 310, negative 310, plus 250 for Carolina. Currently, it is minus 400 plus 315. And those odds have, and obviously the money has increased for Buffalo as well on the money line. Spread looks like this currently. 7.5 point favorites are the Bills at minus 102 cost. 7.5 point favorites for Carolina at minus 120 cost. Over under 46.5 points, minus 118 cost going over, minus 104 going under. And let's see where the money is for this game. Let's go down and down again. All right, 96% going with the Bills, 97% of the money going with the Bills on the money line, and that is why those odds have gone so much higher. Now, it was up to minus 430 depending on the sports book. FanDuel FD had it at minus 420, and minus 420 is high as that is, and it has gone down to minus 400. But watch how those odds change as we approach game time. Now, 77%, 82% based off that 7.5 point spread. This is current splits. This is where the money is going. Global Sportsbook averages. That's what it's based off of. 77% betting for Buffalo, 82% money for Buffalo. Over is getting 53% betting and 60% money, over 46.5. So over is, not dominating, but it is at an advantage numbers wise, splits wise. And when you see a game like this, minus 400 plus 315, and Buffalo has consistently stayed in that position, more than likely they will take it. Now, the costs on these spreads have changed dramatically throughout the week. It was minus 118 for Buffalo. It went up to as much as minus 122 for Buffalo. Before their odds slightly dipped to 82%. They were at 85% when it was that high. So to give me a little more confidence, Carolina could cover this, but this is going to have to probably hold up 77% betting, 82% money, or increase. If it goes down, then Buffalo will take the spread. Also, look to join the public on that one on the over. But the next game, the Jets versus the Bengals. All right, let's see where they opened. Let's go to scroll down again. All right. Let me scroll down one more time. All right. There we go. Plus 270, minus 340, plus 270 for the New York Jets on the money line, minus 340 for Cincinnati is where they opened on the money line. Currently it is plus 240, so it's a little bit less in value for the better for the sports books. Plus 240 for the Jets, minus 295, and they opened at minus 340. So they have dropped significantly. Now, with this one, the Jets have the oddest splits of the weekend because sorry about that. Because we go back up. Notice their splits right here. 6% betting, 57% money. 6% of the betting on the money line, 57% money on the money line. So these 6% putting heavy money into the Jets to win on the road in Cincinnati. And these sports books are looking at that. Now, was giving me confidence that could happen. It could happen, but the amount of money that the Jets are getting here, 57% just off 6% of bettors, That's people looking to cash that out. They're not going to follow through with that. Now, what'll probably finesse you is right here. There's 24%, 29% here. They're only getting that much on the spread, though, minus 115. So that could hold up because the way they move these odds, see, now is minus 105 for Cincinnati. It was minus 105 for the New York Jets. Now the minus 105s do hit more, but they raised the cost the cost on the Jets for a reason, and that's what gives me confidence they could take it. But it's still early Sunday morning. That could change. Over under minus 105, minus 115 for the over minus 105, under minus 115, negative 115, 44.5 there. Let's see what the splits are there. 59% betting, 61%. So basically about the same, 60. 59% betting, 61% money on that one. And I would go with that over as long as it maintains at minus 105 cost. As long as it maintains at minus 105 cost. Most people are going to expect this game, when the sharps go in, they're more than likely going to put money on that under, though. They're more than likely going to put money on that under. But that could be a decent pick depending on, watch what happens with the costs. Always watch what happens with the costs. Minus 295 for Cincinnati has decreased from minus 340, but that was just opening. Now Cincinnati was at minus 300 late yesterday. Early this morning they're minus 295. Not a significant difference, but their money is down 43%. So just keep that in mind if you're going to. If you want my picks, they're all going to be on the Patreon. Link is in the description and in the video. And I will have previews in the description as well. But let's go to the Bears, Baltimore. Plus 130, minus 154. Plus 130 for Chicago, minus 154 for the favorite Baltimore Ravens at home. Let's see where they opened. Let me scroll up. All right. Plus 250. Minus 310. Plus 250 for Chicago. Minus 310 for Baltimore. All right. Minus 310 for Baltimore. Plus 250. Very, very different from where we are now. Spread looks like this. 2.5 points. Minus 102 cost going with the Bears. Minus 2.5 points going with the minus 120 cost going with the Ravens. Over under 44.5 points. Minus 115 cost going over. Minus 105 cost going under. Now let's see what the splits are for this game. Baltimore has decreased slightly from yesterday. They have decreased slightly from yesterday. All right. 35% on the betting on the money line for the Bears. 51% in favor of the Bears on the money line. 65% betting going in favor of the Ravens. 49% of the money going in favor of the Ravens. All right. Spread. Chicago is getting 65% of the betting and 66% of the money. The over-under is dominating this one. 56% going with the under. 71% of the money going with the under. And that has dropped a point from late yesterday as well to 44.5. Now, this minus 154 has dropped slightly. It was minus 165, then dropped to minus 160. Now it's minus 154. And let's see, that's 49%, 65%, 51% here, 65% here. All right, this 51%, we're going to focus on that. We'll do the spreads next. Minus 154, they keep dropping in value. This may be one of those weeks. Lamar Jackson more than likely won't play in this game, quarterback for the Ravens. If more than likely won't play for them. If he does play, more than likely, we're just going to assume he won't. From what I've read, he won't. Plus 130 for the Bears. We're just going to focus on that. Could be a pretty decent pick in this game. The Ravens are pretty much spiraling out of control here, and their odds keep decreasing. Even though they're hovering around this 50-50 on the money. There's no reason to decrease these odds, because when you decrease these odds, you also have to decrease the underdog, which is where the people make their money. So Chicago looks decent in this one. It's minus 102 cost plus 2.5. More than likely that will change. Chicago will have a higher negative if they are to win this game. More than likely by game time. This is still early in the day. So watch how those odds adjust. And they really adjust literally about 3 hours, 3.5 to 1.5 hours before these games is where you really see those odds adjust with the cost adjustments on the totals and the spreads. Just keep that in mind. Now, as far as that over under, be careful of that under at that minus 105 sweet spot. 71% join the public in that one. Cleveland versus New England. Plus 280 for the Browns. Minus 350 for New England. Let's see where they. All right. Plus 180, minus 218. So both have increased, I should say, in their respective directions. Minus 350 for New England. And let's see where the money is going. More than likely, people will put their money on, I think. All right. My bad. Sorry about that. 5% of the betting, 5% of the money. 95% going with the Patriots on the money line. And their odds keep increasing. So it looks likely they could take this one at home. Now, with the narrative behind this, they're looking to keep that Shedeur Sanders on the bench. So they could be making this game to make Dylan Gabriel look good, the quarterback for the Browns. So just keep that in mind. That could be a narrative. So I wouldn't rule out putting money on Cleveland per se, but the way they're increasing these odds makes me think New England is going to take this one, more than likely. Touchdown extra point favorites are the Patriots, 7-point favorites, minus 106 cost going with them, minus 114 cost going with the underdog Browns. And over-under is relatively low, 40 points, 40.5 points, minus 105 going over, minus 115 going under. And let's see where the money is going for these. 32% in favor of the Browns and 42% in favor of the Browns on the money. New England's getting 58% of the money, 68% betting. Over is getting 68% of the betting and 65% of the money in this one. And with that minus 105, I recommend you going over that. But with that total being so low, you want to challenge that and go with that under. But watch how those costs adjust come game time. I don't think it's going to adjust that much. I think it more than likely will end up that way if the over were to take it. If you see the cost change at all, go with the under. If you see the cost change at all, go with the under. I'm just telling you that right now. In New England, as far as the spread, Cleveland looks decent on the spread. I wouldn't rule out Cleveland on the spread at all. Money line, the odds are increasing too much for me to go against New England, as well as their percentages, the splits are increasing as well. So it's hard to go against that. But yeah, let's go to the next one. All my picks will be on the Patreon, as well as the splits and other information as well. All right, let's scroll back up. All right, San Francisco versus Houston. Plus 114 for the 49ers, minus 134 for the Texans. And let's see where the money is going. You go back. Yeah, the very first one. All right. Opened at minus 120 for the 49ers, plus 100 for the Texans. Minus 120 for the 49ers, plus 100 for the Texans. Now it is plus 114. So 49ers opened as a favorite. Now they are a dog. Minus 134 for the Texans on the money line. We'll go over the splits in a moment. 2.5-point favorites are the Texans. 2.5-point underdogs are the 49ers at minus 110 cost even. Over under 41.5. Over is getting the minus 115 cost. Under is getting the minus 105 cost. And let's see where the splits are for this one. Let me scroll down. All right. You can see right here, 76% and 92% in favor of San Francisco on the road against Houston. That could be a dangerous pick, but I'm talking as far as the 49ers. It could be a dangerous pick, but with Houston being so iffy basically this season, they pretty much don't really have a narrative this season, and they just fill in that role, and those are the hardest games to bet on. The 49ers have been that, but their role has changed a little bit because of the division they play in. But the minus 134 Texans don't really have much of a narrative this season. And with that being said, they're only getting 8% of the money here at that minus 134, and their costs are decreasing. They were minus 140. Well, they went up to minus 140. Now they're back down to where they were, which means San Francisco's odds have gone down as well. Texans at minus 134. So, with them decreasing the odds like this, look out for the 49ers if these odds hold up or they decrease. If you see this plus, since they're getting 92% of the money, if you see them increase at all, go with the Texans. If you see them decrease or stay the same, go with the 49ers. And whichever one you go with them across the board spread as well. Now, this under, these low totals, you want to challenge those and go with that under. But the over is getting 62%, over is getting 61% betting and money. So about even there. So with that cost being minus 115, watch which cost goes below the other costs. Watch which cost goes below the other cost. Right now it is on the under. I recommend going with the under. Because what they do is, when you have the higher cost here and it's showing 62%, 61% on the over, as you can see there, the under is getting minus 105. They'll make you believe, okay, they keep betting higher with this over. If more people keep betting on that over, they're going to do that. It's going to be an over. Less people do that. Right now it's at 39%. Less people do that. That cost is going to flip. That under is going to take that minus 115 and is going to take the win as well. So just keep that in mind. Miami versus Atlanta. Plus 300 for Miami. Minus 375 for Atlanta. Atlanta is a huge favorite in this one. Now beware of home favorites. I always say beware of home favorites. Watch how those odds adjust. Plus 7 for Miami. Minus 106 cost. Minus 7 for Atlanta. Minus 114 cost. Over under. Minus 105. Minus 104 for the over 44.5, under 44.5 is getting minus 118 cost. All right, so Atlanta's getting a large percentage on those costs. Let me go up. Let me scroll down. All right, 5% and 4%. All right, 5% and 4% on these splits here for both. Well, for both, for Miami, 95% of the betting, 96% for Atlanta on these. So people betting heavily on Atlanta in this game, and their costs keep increasing. As long as their costs keep increasing, you feel pretty confident about a home favorite. But don't forget their costs increase as well. The dogs' costs increase as well, along with in their respective directions, that is, along with the home team, the home favorite. And they're getting 71%. I'm looking at this 71% betting and 58% money on the spread as well. And they're 7-point favorite, touchdown favorites. This could be one of those games where Miami could sneak. They could sneak. But the way they're adjusting those odds suggests that Atlanta's going to take it. So I'll just lean toward that. On the spread, I would consider this could be one of those games where Atlanta wins by 8 or something like that. The NFL does that all the time since it's a 7-point spread. And normally these touchdown spreads have not held up this season at all. Very low percentage. When it's a 7-point spread, they have not held up. The favorite has not held up by winning by a touchdown. But the way these odds are very high, the costs are very high for Atlanta, you have to lean toward it. Now, as far as that over-under, 44.5%, 55%, 45%. Okay, it fluctuates. 55, 45, 45, 55, over under. Pretty even there. You want to lean into that. For a game like this, you want to go with that over. Over 44.5 minus 104 costs going with that over. New York versus Philadelphia. Eagles, Giants, Eagles. Very similar. Same odds as the last game. Plus 300 for the Giants, minus 375 for the Eagles. Now, a couple Thursdays ago, Giants won. They're not winning here. They will not win this game. Now, minus 7.5 for the Eagles, minus 105 costs for the Eagles at home. They're moving those odds significantly because this has changed. 92%, that's higher than it was before. 86% here for the Eagles, that's higher than it was before. But you always have to be aware of home favorites, so you have to analyze the odds a little bit. Let's go with the spread. Well, let's see how they opened. Philadelphia. All right. Plus 380 for the Giants, minus 500 for the Eagles. So a little bit less than where they started, but that's okay. We're here now. Both teams are less than where they started, but that's just the opening odds. We always analyze that to see any numerological parallels. We do that on the Patreon. Minus 375 for the Eagles, minus 7.5 and minus 105 costs for the Eagles as well. Over under 43.5 minus 110 cost. Over minus 110 cost under. And let's see, minus 375. All right, 86%. All right, now the spread is about even. 52% going with the Eagles, 51% going with the Eagles. Okay, so that's about even. People expecting the Giants to win. I would go with the Eagles across the board as these odds are currently stands. They're at that minus 105 sweet spot on the cost for totals and spreads. Over under 43.5 minus 110 costs. Over minus 110 costs under. I would go with that. I would go with let's see what the splits are for that. The total 72% and 91% going over. That is right here at the bottom here. 72% and 91%. I would definitely lean toward joining the public and go with that over. The Thursday night game, that went under, I believe, because it was a very high 52.5 point spread from what I remember. And I believe that one went under. So I would lean toward the over in this one and join the public at this even minus 110 cost. Which, when you get a minus 110 cost, you want to go with the 72% on the betting and 91% on the money. Go with the joining the public. Don't fade the public in those instances regularly, especially when a home team is a major favorite. But Tampa Bay, New Orleans, minus 210 for Tampa Bay, plus 176 for New Orleans. Let's see what happened to those costs. Minus 225 for Tampa Bay, plus 185 for New Orleans. All right. Currently, it is minus 210 plus 176, so they're slightly less than where they started. Now, throughout the week, Tampa Bay has gone up and down, up and down. They've gone up to as minus 245, minus 255. Now they're back down. They were at minus 235 for a while. Minus 225 where they started. Now they're minus 210. And those odds have also conversely done it for New Orleans in its respective direction, the positive direction. Now they went from plus 185 to plus 176. Minus 3.5 at minus 115 cost for Tampa Bay. Plus 3.5 at minus 105 cost for New Orleans. Over unders at 46.5, minus 106 going over, minus 114 going under. Let's see, minus 210 right here for Tampa Bay, gone slightly less than New Orleans. Let's see where 96% in favor of Tampa Bay and 99% in favor of Tampa Bay currently. 76% on the spread, 57% on the spread going with the Buccaneers. And the under is getting a higher percentage at 56% of the betting and 57% of the money. Now, minus 210. That odds are decreasing. Odds have decreased up and down. Now they've solidified pretty much its decline throughout the week. Minus 210. All right, minus 3.5. Going with the Buccaneer, minus 115 here. All right. In this instance, I would go with the Buccaneers minus 210, minus 3.5, and minus 115 cost. All right. Minus 210, minus 3.5, minus 150. All right. This minus 105 has fluctuated. It was Tampa Bay minus 3.5, minus 105. Now it's minus 115 as of late last night to right now, early Sunday morning. And now this could be one of those games where Tampa Bay gets a scare from New Orleans at home, because even though Tampa Bay's getting, it could be easy to say, okay, I'm going to fade the public and go with New Orleans, but they're not a massive favorite. They're only plus 176 and they're decreasing, which could tell you New Orleans could take this, but they're not a massive favorite. The Buccaneers are not a massive favorite, which tells me Tampa Bay could take the ML while New Orleans could take the 3.5 point spread and lose by a field goal. The way the odds have continuously decreased on the ML, that tells me that. And the way this minus 105 flipped from Tampa Bay to New Orleans. But the over-under for a game like this, more people are betting the under at 57% money, 56% betting. With that being said, I'm going to fade the public. Fade the public and go with that over in this one, because more people are going to bet this over. This is going to increase. It's going to be somewhere around 50-50 come game time. But watch what happens with these costs. Whichever one has is probably going to go toward minus 108, minus 112. And the minus 112s hit more than the minus 108s. And the under is probably going to take that minus 108 by game time. So just keep that in mind. Whichever one has the higher negative, go with that one, unless it is minus 105, minus 115. Then you go with the minus 105 if that's the case. But yeah, let's go down to the rest of the week. The rest of the Sunday. Titans versus Colts. Titans are massive underdogs, plus 810, minus 1350 for the Colts. Plus 14.5 for the Titans, minus 110 cost. Minus 14.5 for the Colts, minus 110 cost. Over under 47.5, minus 114 cost going over, minus 106 going under. Now, as far as these, let's scroll down. 88% going with the Colts on the money, 97% going with the Colts on the betting. More than likely that will hold up. But beware of massive home favorites. Now, normally in these kind of games, I say put something on an underdog, and I would recommend that here. Put something on an underdog. More than likely it won't happen. Just letting you know that now. But put something on the underdog on the money line, because that's a very high ML. And the home favorite is a massive home favorite. And it's an odd-ish number. Whenever you see these odd numbers on money line, minus 1350, nothing even. Nothing really. Well, it's an even number, but it's not really, it's not 1300, it's not 1200, something like that. That's when you have to consider going with the underdog, putting some money on it, because you don't know in these kind of games what could happen. But you got to risk something to go with the Titans in this one. I don't think it's going to happen. Colts are going to take this one. The spreads, 41% going with the betting on here, 41% here. Not a massive favorite. They're not massive favorites on the splits on the spread like they are on the ML, because it's, the highest of the weekend. 14.5 points. Minus 110 cost here, minus 110 cost here. Over under 47.5, minus 114 cost going over, minus 106 cost going under. Now, with that being said, let's see, minus 114.5 here, 14.5 here. Okay, the cost is even here, which tells me they adjusted the Titans when it was minus 105, minus 115 for the Colts, minus 105 here for the Titans. I would recommend going with the Colts on the ML, Titans on the spread, and other than that, take that over and join the public in that one. Now you've got, that's a night game. We're going to go with Dallas versus Denver plus 160 to minus 190. Minus 190 for Denver here. Plus 3.5 for Dallas. Minus 115 cost there. Minus 3.5 for Denver. Minus 105 cost there. Over under 50.5. Minus 118 cost going over. Minus 104 going under. Let's see what the splits are in this one. Plus 164 for Dallas. Minus 198 for Denver. And let's see where the odds are. Okay, it's minus 190 currently, plus 160. Okay, so it evened out basically. Denver looks decent across the board here. Of course, the big stat is Prescott has never, one of 3 teams he's never beaten was the Broncos. Minus 190 for the Broncos there. Minus 3.5 there for Denver. Minus 105 cost going there. Splits for that game, 72% going in favor of Dallas on the money, but the betting 57%. Denver could take that one, especially since so much money is going to the Cowboys in that one. And Denver did not look great except the fourth quarter last week. So, look out for, let's see, everybody's putting money on Denver in this one. Look out for a sneaky Denver victory, but with Dallas on the spread there. They're getting most of the 85% there. People putting big money on Dallas in this one. Over under. Over is getting 62% of the money. Under is getting 53%. I would challenge that money and go with the under and fade the public in that one, since both teams went over massively last week. They're trying to trick you into going over again. Be careful of that. All right, Green Bay versus Pittsburgh. Minus 152 for Green Bay, plus 128 for Pittsburgh. 3-point favorites is Pittsburgh on the road for Green Bay at minus 102 cost. 3-point underdogs are the Steelers at minus 120 cost. Over under 45.5. Minus 110 cost going over. Minus 110 cost going under. And let's see where the splits are in this one. 38% in favor of the money, 62% in favor of the betting. And it flips for Pittsburgh as well. Where did they open? Minus 120 for Green Bay, plus 100. And currently, minus 152, plus 128. So it did increase, but not significantly. Green Bay is above that minus 150 threshold. Over under is at minus 110 cost, even 46.5 points. Let's see where we are. Okay, 83% on the over, 55% on the over on the betting, 83% money. As far as the total in that one, the way those odds have moved, it was minus 120, minus 102, over to under, over minus 120, under minus 102. It has since evened out, with the under getting only 72%. I would actually join the public in that one and go with that over 45.5 in that one. With that being, it's also with that being a primetime game as well. Those regularly go over. Unless it's one of those, combo Monday night games. Then one goes under, one goes over, but something like that. 78% on the Steelers, 69% on the betting. Let's see where that is. Minus 120 going here. Minus 152 going with the Packers in that one. With that being said, let's see. Plus 3, minus 120 here. 62% of the money going with Pittsburgh at home. 78% going with Pittsburgh. With these odds not being a major favor, you want to go with Pittsburgh in that one. They're only plus 128. And they're getting 62% of the money. But Pittsburgh looks real good with this minus 120. Sorry about that. And plus 128 here. But Green Bay is Green Bay. Minus 152 here. But they are battling a few injuries, so I would definitely go with Pitt on the spread. But Pittsburgh right now, but watch how those odds change for Green Bay as we approach game time. But yeah, join the Patreon. We got props, parlays, all that stuff, as well as all the information listed. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Pray every day. Join the Patreon. Link is in the description and in the video. You guys